Welcome to Glow Social Club, the space where powerhouse women come to reclaim their health, their clarity, and their leadership. I'm Jasmine Corona, functional nutritional practitioner and founder of Organically Glow and Glow Social Club. Around here, we don't do one-size-fits-all advice. We translate symptoms into strategy and build the kind of structure that actually sustains you. If you are ready to lead your health, your work, and your life with clarity, confidence, and conviction, you are in the right place. Let's begin. Let's get one thing straight. Cortisol isn't the enemy. And if you are blaming all of your symptoms, the fatigue, the puffiness, the inflammation, the cortisol belly, the weight gain on cortisol, you are missing the bigger picture. 80% of women experience hormonal imbalances, and yes, cortisol may be a problem. However, it's not the root cause. Hormones are never a root cause. Hormones are just a messenger. They respond to your environment. And if you are experiencing stress, this can be emotional stress, this can be physical stress, this can even be infections, toxins, inflammation in the body. Those are going to drive your cortisol levels to be in balance. And that doesn't technically mean you have high cortisol or low cortisol, but most women who come to me, they are experiencing low cortisol, not high. Because it hit a point where they have been experiencing so much stress, they have experienced so many toxins in the world that it is now overflowing their toxin bucket, their stress bucket. And once that starts overflowing, your body eventually taps out and it's like, hey, I am exhausted, I am defeated, I can't pump out any more cortisol because I don't have the nutrients, I don't have the backbone to do that. And so this is where we start seeing adrenal hypofunction. So your adrenals are not pumping out enough cortisol anymore. Or maybe you're at a point right now where you still do have high cortisol levels because your adrenals are functioning at a high level. They're constantly pumping out cortisol, pumping, because they know you're stuck in survival. So cortisol is not bad. We actually require it to wake up in the morning, to have energy in the morning, drive, motivation, to get out of bed. So if you are at a point where you are waking up in the morning and you're exhausted, you're depleted, you just want to lay in bed all day, even though you slept maybe 10 hours last night, your cortisol may be low and it just may be dysregulated. And cortisol isn't to blame, right? It's just a hormone. It's just a messenger. It's just responding to an environment that you have placed it in. So to dive deeper, to actually understand what is driving my cortisol to be in balance, we have to dive deep into the root cause. What is the root cause behind my cortisol imbalance? And most often, I see a few different things. So one of the root causes I see most often is blood sugar dysregulation, metabolic health, poor metabolic. So this is very popular right now. It's trending in the wellness space. And for a good reason, honestly, our metabolic health, especially in the United States, is garbage, I have to say. And it really depends on the food we're eating. Most of us probably aren't eating enough. We're over-exercising. Maybe you're eating healthy, but is your body actually absorbing those nutrients? Is your body digesting properly? But before I go on that tangent, let's just go back to the blood sugar dysregulation. So poor metabolic health. So when we have blood sugar dysregulation, so maybe you're skipping meals in the morning, you're just living off caffeine, maybe it hits 3 p.m. and you're like, oh, I need that third cup of coffee. Or maybe you're just so tired that you just need a nap. That is a sign that you may be experiencing blood sugar dysregulation. So when I say that, that just means that your blood sugar is supposed to be stable throughout the whole day. So when you eat, it's supposed to increase a little bit. When you aren't eating, it's supposed to decrease because now we're pushing all that glucose into our muscles, into our tissues, so we can actually use it as energy. But if you're on a blood sugar roller coaster, that means your blood sugar, when you eat, it is spiking extremely high. When you skip a meal, what happens is your blood sugar drops extremely low and maybe you get anxious, jittery, shaky, irritable, hangry. And so in order to keep your body functioning to survive, because then that turns on your survival mechanism when you don't eat. What happens is your body will tell your adrenals, hey, we need to increase our blood sugar right now or we might pass out. So it pumps out cortisol. So what happens? Cortisol spikes, your blood sugar increases back to baseline. Sometimes it can overcorrect if it's going on for a long period of time, and then you have extremely high blood sugar levels. So that is number one. This is why I say cortisol isn't the enemy. It's actually a protective mechanism. Your body is always trying to protect you. It is always trying to survive. And so if we have blood sugar dysregulation, so your blood sugar is spiking and then it's dropping very, very low, cortisol will come in and be the hero. It will save you. It will bring your blood sugars back up to baseline. So that is the number one root cause that I see. This is more so like just dysfunction in the body. Another one that I see are hidden infections and toxins. So like gut infections. This can be like fungal overgrowths, bacteria overgrowths in the gut. We can also see like different toxins. So environmental toxin, mold, heavy metals. So what happens is all of these toxins can accumulate in the body and place a burden on your body. It can really impact how your body is functioning correctly. So then what happens is it will kick your survival mode back on. And then cortisol again comes in to save the day and increases everything, puts everything back into baseline. Next, we do like to look at like the emotional side. So like trauma, unresolved emotional stressors, that also will lead to cortisol imbalances. And I think this is one that more people are becoming more aware of, like your emotional health, your mindset, the mental health behind these things. But cortisol will respond to that too, right? Any type of stress on the body, any type of stressor, it's going to push yourself into survival mode. And short-term stress is good. Like that's not a problem. So if you're working out, you're exercising, stress is good. That's a good type of stress. But however, stress becomes an issue when it's happening over a long period of time. So again, if your cortisol is being imbalanced over a long period of time, this is what I mean. Like you'll have high cortisol levels, but eventually if your adrenals keep pumping out this stress hormone so you can survive, it's going to be depleted where it's like, I can't pump it out anymore. So those are some of the common root causes that I see in my practice. Of course, again, going back to diet and blood sugar just goes hand in hand. So if we're not eating, we're under eating, we're over exercising, maybe we're jumping from diet to diet, maybe we're even eating tons of ultra processed foods, which most of us, if you're watching this, you're probably not eating a bunch of ultra processed foods. You're eating healthy, right? Clean eating, organic as much as you can. You're really following that 80-20 lifestyle where 80% of the time you're eating whole foods, 20% of the time it's just about balance, building resilience in your body. We also have to realize that can play a role in your cortisol dysregulation. Again, nervous system dysfunction. So again, this is all going to kind of coincide together. They all connect. The body works together. It does not work in silos. It does not work, this system works together, this system works together. No, the whole body works together. One thing impacts another. So nervous system dysregulation, again, what from? Trauma, these infections, these toxins, any type of stressor is going to, again, over a long period of time, will shift your nervous system into a state of survival, not a state of resting and healing. So we have to be mindful about that because these root causes can drive your cortisol levels to be in balance. So now that we're aware of potential root causes, we also want to really provide you some clear answers on like, okay, do I have high cortisol levels or do I have low cortisol levels? And how can you know? So then this is where we start talking about symptoms. So I really like to dive into symptoms because the body is always speaking to you through symptoms. So usually with high cortisol levels, you can see weight gain, you can see extreme puffiness in the face, you can be fatigued, you can feel kind of like wired, but also tired. So if you are staying up super late, you're laying in bed and you just cannot go to sleep, you just feel like you have to be doing something, that is wired but feeling tired. So that is a sign of high cortisol levels. For low cortisol levels, it's going to be pretty similar, but you're going to be more like exhausted. Like I'm talking, you're sleeping 10 plus hours at nighttime and you're still waking up like I am not well rested, I am exhausted, I have to call off work. You can also feel depressed. You can feel anxious a little too. Your mental health kind of declines. You can experience weight loss resistance where you cannot lose weight for the life of you. And then that does impact so many other things in your body, like your immune system. So then maybe you're getting sick more frequently. So those are just some signs and symptoms if you have low cortisol or if you have high cortisol. So like, what can we do about it? How can we start regulating our cortisol levels? So there's so many different ways to start regulating your hormones, specifically your stress hormone, cortisol. And again, we, number one, have to identify if we have high or low, because that does impact what will work for you, what solutions there are. And most often I see on TikTok when I'm scrolling, oh, this girl, she has a supplement. It's a cortisol balancing supplement. Okay, what's in it? Does it really balance cortisol, or is it just a marketing technique? So we have to be very mindful about that too, because in the wellness space, as soon as someone starts talking about a topic, cortisol, what's the other one? Castor oil packs. I don't know, there's like so many different trends that like come on and go off. Just be mindful that there's always going to be a product or a service that someone comes up with that's going to cure that. If someone ever says, oh, that this is going to solve every issue you have, just pause and like really think, like, is this, or are they just really good at marketing? Because some of these people are really good at marketing. I'm like, girl, do you? That's amazing. But also it's kind of annoying and frustrating because I'm like, that's not what it's gonna do. So here are some things that I really like to provide to clients when they're experiencing high cortisol or low cortisol. Again, we want to address the root cause on top of supporting the symptoms that you're experiencing. So again, identifying the root cause is going to be number one. Of course, I like to use functional lab testing with this too, but just some solutions that you can do right now. Honestly, for both high and low, just for cortisol dysregulation, is we really want to focus in on our nutrition. So some simple things you can do is, number one, if you're not already doing so, eating a whole foods-based diet is so important. These are just foods that come straight from nature, so we don't need to do any crazy diets to regulate our nervous system and our cortisol levels. You can also focus on blood sugar balancing meals. So what does this look like? So always pairing a protein or a fat with your carbohydrates. So for example, and I'm talking about unrefined carbohydrates, so chips, cookies, all those are refined carbohydrates. But what I like to do is I like to take, like, I don't know, maybe I'm having a potato or rice. Those are carbs, whole food based carbs. You always want to pair, I don't know, like add butter, so a fat source, add a protein, so maybe that is some ground beef. So now you have a blood sugar balancing meal. When you pair a protein and a fat with a carb, it's going to help your blood sugar stay stable, so you're not spiking your blood sugar with just the carbohydrates. So if you just ate a bowl of rice, more often than not, this is going to digest very quickly, and so it's going to spike your blood sugar more quickly. So that is why I always say focus on adding a protein and a fat to a carb. So important when balancing blood sugar. If you want to take it a step further with your nutrition, I have seen a carnivore diet be very helpful in certain situations. So if someone comes to me and they have very high insulin levels, very high glucose levels, I'm like, okay, we may need to do like a three day carnivore reset where you're just eating meat, and it's going to help rebalance your blood sugar. It's going to help stabilize your blood sugar. So I have seen that be really helpful in certain situations. That's just going to regulate blood sugar, which is also going to help regulate your cortisol levels. Okay, so next is lifestyle. So with the lifestyle, we always want to focus on building resilience back in your nervous system. So what does that look like? What brings you joy? Like, what brings you genuine happiness? Like, for me, it's going to the beach and just laying out by the water. Like, that just completely resets me. Even if, like, I'm going on vacation, like, I love to, like, put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I bring a book and I'm just sitting outside, soaking in the sun, being in nature. That's going to help regulate your nervous system. It's going to help you get out of fight or flight response, and it's going to help your cortisol levels. So anything that has to do with regulating your nervous system is going to help with your cortisol levels. So again, some other techniques that you can do is journaling, praying, frequency music. You can also do tapping, EFT, emotional freedom technique tapping. That instantly puts me into like a very, like, I just automatically feel so good, like just relaxed, released, like peace, like it's amazing. Definitely look into that. Breath work, deep breathing. There's so many different things that you can help regulate your nervous system. You just have to find what works best for you. And it's also kind of fun, like trying out these different modalities, seeing which one works best for you, what you actually enjoy, what actually puts you in that state of like deep breath. You know what I mean? So that is another technique that you can do with the lifestyle. Again, you can even, if you have high cortisol levels, I do feel like working out, specifically lifting weights, is going to help too, just because that helps your blood sugar regulation by pushing your excess glucose into your tissues. So you're using that. So going on walks is probably helpful too. Anything that has an impact on your blood sugar will also help your cortisol levels. And then lastly, supplementation. So I love supplements. Of course, I love a targeted supplement approach where I know what your root causes are, I know what's going on internally, what nutrients are missing, then I add those specific nutrients for you through supplementation. But in just general guidance, what I recommend most often are adaptogens. So this is actually going to help your body basically learn how to adapt to stress. So adaptogens, medicinal mushrooms, absolutely amazing. They are natural adaptogens. So reishi is a really, really popular one. So reishi Supreme by Supreme Nutrition. Love them. Absolutely love that product. Also Organo. They have reishi spore capsules, or you can also do the reishi King coffee. Those are both really, really great products that I have used for years. So the next supplement that I do like to bring in most often are homeopathics. So I like to bring these in by DesBio just because homeopathics, they work differently than nutrients, and they also work differently in the body than herbs. So they're actually teaching your body how to actually create, rebalance certain hormones in your body without messing up, like without overcorrecting. So that's why I love homeopathics. They're really just strengthening your internal terrain and how your body responds. So a specific one that I like to use is DesBio Adrenal Support. I have been recommending that one to a lot of women in my practice recently, just because I feel like everyone is kind of experiencing the same thing, where either they're postpartum and they're just stressed out because, hello, they just had a child. Like, that puts a lot of stress on your body, and they're not sleeping well. Like, there's a lot that's going on during that phase. So bringing in DesBio Adrenal Support has been super helpful. Like, instantly, I chat with them a few weeks after they implement it, and they're like, I feel so much better. I'm like, okay, that's amazing. Like, I love that for you. Like, great, you know what I mean? So DesBio Adrenal Support is really popular. I think they have DesBio Cortisol. I'm not 100% sure, but another one that just came to mind too is DesBio Hormone Combination. This one I have been recommending like that because so many women who come to me are experiencing hormonal imbalances. So again, homeopathics do not overcorrect. They give your body what it needs. So it's just teaching your body how to actually bring everything back into balance. So that one is super helpful for so many different symptoms, but specifically cortisol. If you're experiencing lots of stress in your life, if you're experiencing any of the symptoms I have listed throughout this whole podcast, then that one is so helpful too. So those are just some of the few that I like to recommend. Again, I really like a personalized root cause approach. So getting testing done, figuring out what your body is trying to communicate to you, what is going on internal, where are your nutrient gaps, is going to provide you so much information, and it's also going to guide your supplementation, your lifestyle changes, and also your nutrition recommendations. So that is all I have for you guys today about cortisol. And again, cortisol is not the enemy. Cortisol is not bad. We really have to look at the bigger picture when it comes to cortisol. It is so important, and we can't just keep slapping supplements on your cortisol levels. That's just not how it works. So that is all I have for you guys today. And it is time to stop surviving and truly start listening to your body. Start providing your body with what it's asking for and just providing what it requires to regulate itself, because your body is so smart, so intelligent. And if you do want to dive deeper into why your cortisol levels are all over the place, or even if cortisol is the issue that's going on that's contributing to your symptoms, let's chat, book a free call. I have so many different options that we can start with. I love functional lab testing, so that is the first place we start with every single client. We really want to identify the root causes behind your cortisol dysregulation. We love to run either the complete root cause panel, which is our functional blood work panel, or even the Dutch test will give you actual cortisol levels and tell me how your cortisol is being metabolized and all of the fun stuff. So again, thank you guys so much for watching and listening. If you guys love this episode, if you guys have questions, any aha moments, DM me at Organically Glow. I love to hear from you guys. And if you guys love this episode, I would love if you guys left a review, or if you have listened to any of our other episodes and you loved it, I would love to just hear your thoughts. So thank you again, and I'll see you guys next time. If today's conversation shifted something inside of you, if it brought you clarity, relief, or a new way to see your health as a leadership tool, I'd love for you to share this with another powerhouse woman in your world. And remember, symptoms aren't the problem, they are the signal. When you start translating them, you stop surviving and you start leading with clarity. I'll see you next time inside Glow Social Hour.